So do you often hear you should be investing, start investing now, or the stock market is crashing, or oh, what stocks do you have? Are you confused by all of this mumbo jumbo? Then you're at the right place, because this is the ultimate beginner guide to investing, Canadian edition. Because I live in Canada, a lot of the principles I'll be talking will be general based, but then there's some portions of this video that will talk about specific accounts that relate to Canada and the apps that you can use to start investing in Canada. If you want me to do a video for your country, maybe Nigeria or any other country, let me know in the comments. So let's get into it. What is a stock? A stock just means ownership in a company versus a share. The word stock and share is used interchangeably, but then there's a little bit of a difference. The stock means ownership, while share is the smallest unit of a company that you can own. Think of it like this, like a stock. If I say I have real estate, that means it's like saying I have stock in this company, versus if I say I have 2 houses, that's like saying I have 10 shares in this company. What do you mean by you have ownership of a company? How can I own some part of Microsoft or some part of Apple? How is that possible? So let's get into how that comes to play. What happens is that these companies need funding, so they come to the stock market, which houses all of these companies, and they say they're looking for buyers. Then you end up buying a share of the company, and then from there you become a stockholder in that company. So now the next important question I need to answer is, why should you invest, or should everyone be investing? Yes, the answer is yes. However, we are not taught this in school. Investing is such a big piece to being able to build wealth, and unfortunately a lot of people don't know this. We all want a certain level of freedom. No matter our goals, we want to be able to live the life we want, and investing is that pillar that will get us to that point. With saving, your earning potential is very limited, and a lot of times we do not outpace inflation. Versus investing, your earning potential is not capped. You can earn a lot of money, even though there's volatility, but in the long run you will probably get a lot of money. Let's use an example. If you saved 10K in 2020, in 2025, that money is worth $8,600 because inflation has happened. Versus if you invested 10K in 2020 alone, in 2025, it is worth 15K. And that's just because you invested in one lump sum. There's other variables that can exponentially improve this. That is compound interest, which is known as the 8th wonder of the world. So let me try my best to explain compound interest. Now, compound interest is when your money earns money, and that new money earns money. So let's use an example. Imagine I have $1,000 invested and I earn 10% interest at the end of the year. So my total balance now is 1,100. And so by the next year, interest now be 110. So 110 plus my 1,100 will have me at 1,210. That new money keeps adding money to it without adding any new money to your principal. So another place where we really see the impact of compound interest is after hitting that first 100K. You probably hear this a lot, but I've literally seen this, like after hitting that first 100K, the rate at which your network grows, it's crazy. And then that's why the rich keep getting richer. When they're starting with a base of $1 million, you know how much 10% is? That's 100K already. And then it keeps growing. Compound interest, the 8th wonder, works magic. Another book I recommend for you to actually read to understand this more is The Psychology of Money. It's such a good book. It explains this better. After all of these things I've said, you're probably wondering, okay, now you said we should invest. Why should we invest? This is how you make money from a stock market. Number one, when you buy a stock, what happens is that a lot of good company stocks, their value tends to increase. And so, for instance, a lot of people tend to buy Apple, and so the company earns more money. And so that means the value of Apple as a company increases because we find that their products are valuable. The stock price then increases, and so you earn money in that sense. So if you sell that stock at that point in time, when the stock has appreciated, then you get some money back. Another way where you get money from investing is through dividends. And so kind of with the same concept where it's like that, there's a product that people like with good governance, whatnot. And so they earn a lot of money at the end of the year, profits. They're not on the loss. Then the company now decides that they're going to share their profits to the shareholders. And so they give them in form of dividends. Demand and supply also affects some of these things. The market sentiment. So the people that are in the stock market, the people that buy stock, if we have a sentiment that this company is valuable, irrespective of even what their balance sheet is saying and their profit and loss, a lot of times it kind of matches. But if we just have an inkling or thoughts that, oh my god, this company might be valuable, people rush to it and buy the stock. And then because there's a higher demand of it with less supply, that stock price could also increase. So there's a lot of factors that come to play in any money. But then these three ways are the major ways in which the stock market increases and you earn money from it. So now, as a beginner, if I want to start from scratch and I say, okay, give me step by step, this is the first step you're going to take, is to first of all open a brokerage account. So now, if you're in Canada, there are tons of brokerage accounts that you can open. However, picking the right one for a beginner is so important. There are good ones that I suggest that are very, very easy to use. I would say Questrade and Wealthsimple. So Questrade and Wealthsimple are good brokerages to start. First of all, they're easy to use. Their UI UX is very easy to understand. And second of all, they offer some of the cheapest rates versus other brokerages. With Wealthsimple, you do not pay any money to buy any stock. The only time that you pay for anything when it comes to buying stock or investing in Wealthsimple is when you are buying in the USD, in another currency. And then Questrade now helps combat that, because Questrade also is zero fees for trading or buying any stock. And also with USD, using Nobby Gambit is very, very easy and cheaper to buy USD stocks on Questrade. So a combo of both of them is T. That's what I use. I use Questrade and Wealthsimple. You can check the link in my bio to open any of these accounts. I will do another video of a walkthrough of how to invest with both of them at some point in my YouTube journey. But yes, those two are great to start with. I also have a blog where I reviewed some other ones, so I'll also put that in the link for you to get and see more other options in Canada. The next thing you're going to do now is to open your tax advantage account. So now, in Canada specifically and some other countries, we have tax advantage accounts that the government has given to us to take advantage, to invest and get more buck for our money. So some of those accounts in Canada are your TFSA, which is your tax-free savings account. And with this account, all your interest gain on those accounts is tax-free. Like, I feel like people sleep on the TFSA a lot, and it's one of the best accounts because the flexibility is that you can take your money out and definitely return it by the next year. But then also all your interest gain on it is tax-free, is so tea and great. Another tax advantage account is your RSP, which is your retirement savings account. This one's also a great account. However, it doesn't leave you a lot of room to take money out unless you are retiring. And so the taxes for this one are tax deferred. You will pay the taxes in later years. My hope is that your tax rate does not drop, that you're earning more at that point in time. But then that is the general consensus for a lot of people. Another account is the FHSA, which is the first home savings account. That account definitely takes benefits of both the TFSA and the RSP. It's like both of them got married and gave birth to a child, the FHSA. But at the end of the day, the goal is for it to use to buy a house. So once you take out the money to buy a house, you have to close the account. So you need to open these accounts and invest through them. A lot of people think that you should be saving money in them, and you are very, very wrong if you're saving money in your TFSA or your RSP or your FHSA. No, you should be investing through them. Those are investment vehicles at your hand that are tax advantage, so use them. So these accounts, we have the similar ones in the US, like the 401k and the Roth IRA. In the UK, it's the ISAs. If your country has some tax benefits account, those are the first accounts you need to use to invest through. So now we said open your brokerage account with Wealthsimple or Questrade, open your TFSA, your RSP and your FHSA. I always recommend to start investing through your TFSA. If you're a beginner, I think it's just the best low-hanging fruit where you're able to take out your money for emergencies or whatever. So TFSA is the first account to maximize. Also, there's a contribution for all of these accounts, but I'll do a video explaining all the C for all of these accounts soon after. Now, the third step to do after you've done those first two things is to buy your first stock. Now, as a beginner, I do not recommend you go and buy individual companies. And so that means you're going to say, okay, Apple is a good company, let me go and buy it. No, it's too much risk to buy individual stocks. So definitely for a beginner, I recommend you do ETFs. So ETFs are exchange traded funds, and those are basket of stocks. I love to talk about ETFs a lot because I think it's such an easy way to get into investing. You don't need to do too much mathematical thinking. It just makes sense, and it's a good way to invest and earn money from the stock market. So ETFs, basket of stocks. And so the way it works is, you know how I explain the stock and the share. So imagine a basket, you have different stocks of different companies. So you have stock of Apple, stock of Microsoft, stock of P&G, stock of this, stock of that. When you buy a share of that ETF, you have a share in all of those companies. And so the benefits with this is that you're able to spread your risk and diversify your investments properly. Because the problem with buying individual stocks is that people get stuck and are unable to properly diversify their investing, which is one of the big rules in investing, and to make the most money and invest wisely, because investing in the stock market is volatile, there's risk attached to it. But then those that make it or succeed irrespective of the risk is those that are able to diversify their portfolio properly, and ETFs helps you solve that very easily. So when you have decided that yes, I'm going to buy ETFs, I always recommend a 4 to 5 fund ETF. The reason being, one ETF like total market is just too small to have a diversified portfolio. It's too narrow, and I do not always recommend it. I recommend that you first of all have a ETF that tracks the US market. US market is the biggest stock market in the world. Most of the big companies are there. So you definitely need exposure to the US market. So to get an ETF that tracks the US market, I'll put some recommendations on the screen. After that, get an ETF that tracks companies in your home base. So if you're in Australia, UK, Canada. In Canada, you're going to get some ETFs that track the Canadian market. So after you do that, next one you're going to do is emerging markets. Remember that the goal is still to have a diversified portfolio. So irrespective that all the fact that we're buying ETFs, which are already diversified, we also want to diversify into different sectors. Do you get me? So we're going to buy ETFs that track emerging markets. With what has happened with tariffs in recent months, more than ever, it's so important to be diversified and diversify into other industries and other territories. So if you have an ETF in emerging markets, that is so good. And then after, you have an ETF in developing markets. And the fifth one is more like a nice to have. So maybe there's an industry you're interested in, maybe AI now or whatever it is, because AI has come to stay, guys. I think everyone should definitely be interested in AI. You can buy an ETF that tracks AI, but ensure you buy an ETF that actually does track AI companies, because a lot of saturations are happening in that area. So I'll put some that I recommend. So the final step is for you to invest and buy regularly. Don't just buy a lump sum and forget it. You need to set it on a schedule to buy regularly, monthly. The best thing you can do for yourself, if you cannot keep track of it, is to do dollar cost averaging and to do it on a schedule. So with Wealth Simple, you're able to schedule your buys. So you can see I'm going to be buying $50, $100 every single month, bi-weekly, weekly, whatever time, but schedule your investments and ensure that you're investing regularly. Let me know if you guys have any other further questions on this. I'll do more videos on details, more on the registered account and the how to buy your stocks on Wealth Simple or Questrade. And if you like this type of content, comment, share, like, and subscribe to this channel, and let me know what else you want to see. Alrighty, bye.